make the silicone mold for the Candy Resin Toilet Seat. Every step, no gatekeeping. Let's go. All right, so this is the toilet seat that I started with. If you watch me on TikTok, then you saw that this is not the original one that I had. I had one of the white ones that was like super thin, and I did end up spending the $40 to get this thicker one. So what I'm doing is I'm taking off all of the hardware, all of the bumpers, all of those things, because I need a flat surface to make a mold out of, right? And what I'm doing is I'm using some 1x2s and some scrap MDF to make a box. And this is the same technique that I use to make my river table molds and all of those things. So basically, I am making two boxes that are the same size, but one is going to have some negative space in it, and that's the one that is the actual seat. I am using my brad nail gun. It is a DeWalt brad nail gun. You don't need a DeWalt. You can use any brad nail gun that you want to use. You can use a drill and screws. It does not matter. It will work as long as you pin it together, okay? So then I ended up cutting these 45-degree just kind of spacers to get rid of the negative space around the outside, because that's a lot of silicone that would be wasted unnecessarily. Does that make sense? So I kind of just formed it around this seat. And now that I have a solid surface, we're gonna make the other one. And I'm gonna do the same exact thing for this one. I am using my miter saw to do 45-degree angles, and that's gonna get me close enough to create the box for this, right? After you have your box, then you're going to use tuck tape, and tuck tape is a sheathing tape that resin, silicone, and things like that do not stick to, okay? So I lined my whole box with sheathing tape. And as you can see, the tape is a little bit wider than the frame, but that's okay, because I'm going to show you guys how to make it form around the frame, okay? And if you watched my other box making videos, then you'll see exactly what I'm about to do. So this knife, I know it's massive, but I was so proud of it because I just made it at, me and my girl had a date night and we forged some knives. So I actually made this out of a railroad spike. So what I'm doing is I'm actually cutting little slits on each of the corners that stop at the top of the box, right? We don't want to go down too far, because then that's going to allow the silicone to come out of those edges, and we don't want a leak. All right, so now we have to do the other box, and I'm going to do the exact same process. I'm going to line the whole outside of the box, and then I'm going to cut the edges down so that way it'll wrap around the frame, and it will allow it to sit flat, so that way we won't get any leaks outside of this box, right? Now I'm using 100% silicone caulk. And as you can see, I started with white, but then I ran out. I really like using a colored caulk because that shows me if I have any pinholes or anything when I'm trying to make my seals. The only other caulk that I had was the one that I bought to reseal my bathtub. So I just used it. I'll buy another one. I actually have 3 of them. So I'm just lining the inside portion so that, what is it? A hexagon? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Octagon? I don't know, whatever. Anyways, so yeah, I'm just lining the inside portion of the box, and then I'm weighting it down so that way I know that it has a good seal. I'm gonna also put a seal on the inside, and that will keep all of the silicone in there when we get ready to pour. Now, when you're working with a liquid, it's like you have to create something solid so that way it stays inside of your frame. So we're making a mold for our mold, okay? And once you have this down, you'll pretty much be able to make anything. Like you can use measuring cups or bowls or whatever. It's really, really easy. I know it's intimidating, but once you start, you kind of realize like, that wasn't so bad. Let me try something else, okay? So my thought process here is to get rid of the negative space. The seat has the big hole on the inside that would be a lot of wasted silicone, right? So I am going to make this right here, and I actually gave myself extra work, and How many times have you guys ever given yourself extra work just because you didn't think something through? So I'm using this cardboard. I used a straight edge so that way I could cut some straight lines as straight as I could. And now I'm kind of doing the ribbon thing. You know how you make ribbon curl? And I'm doing that so that way this will form a circle and I don't have to fight it, right? So I'm also lining this with sheathing tape. And this is where I messed up. Can you see what I did? I just created, it wasn't like a mess up. I did create extra work for myself and I did use something unnecessarily. If you can see what I did, drop a comment down below saying what it is, and I'm gonna start putting little nuggets in each one of my YouTube videos, and if you get the answer correctly, I know that you actually are engaging and watching my stuff, and you're gonna be entered in a chance to win a giveaway. And I'm gonna do one every 6 months. I'll take all of the people that took the time to actually watch the videos and engage, and I will enter you guys in a giveaway that, like I said, I'm gonna do every 6 months. All right, so we have our box made. Now I'm using a 2-part silicone, and I actually prefer Aluma-Light's silicone. And the reason being is because it only takes a couple of hours and I can demold it and I don't get any bubbles. I have tried out quite a few silicones, I think about 5 different ones, maybe 6, and I've gotten little micro bubbles and things like that. And with this silicone, I don't get any of that. I do want to remove all of the silicone that I can out of the jugs, so I did end up putting down some paper and then opening them up and then scraping everything out. Make sure you mix everything so that way you don't see any streaks in the color and it's just solid red, okay? There is a 10% off promo down in the description. And this right here is so freaking satisfying. I must admit, this was one of the bigger molds that I have made, so it was a little bit intimidating, especially using so much product, but it worked out perfectly. Now, when you're pouring your silicone, you're gonna wanna be sure that you pour enough over your item, whatever it is that you're encapsulating, right? You're gonna wanna pour enough so that way it's not too thin. So the way that I can see that I'm pouring enough is that I see that it's level. You see right there how you can see the lump of where the lid is actually. By the time I'm done scraping my bucket, it levels all out and I know that it's thick enough for it to be sufficient and me to reuse over and over and over. I've actually used it about 3-4 times. After a couple of hours, it is ready for demold. I waited 2 hours for this, okay? Which is not bad. All right, so I'm actually using my crowbar and a couple of other just putty knife and things like that I have around my shop to demold. It was stuck down really, really good because I used hot glue to tack the things down so that way they did not float when I put the silicone in. Did you catch that? All right, so we're going to get this out and we have our molds, but it's time for cleanup. So I want to ensure that when I pour resin in here, I'm not gonna have any silicone or anything inside of the toilet seat when I actually make it, right? So I made this for a candy toilet seat. So I didn't want any droopies like dropping down into the resin and creating more work for myself. So I just cleaned it up. I took anything that seeped underneath the actual seat and lid, I just cut away with a razor blade knife. And after that, you're gonna be able to demold. You can do this before and after. I just didn't want to rip anything, so I did it before. And these are our molds. I am so happy. All right, so this is the mold. This is what I got, and it worked so good. Absolutely so good. So now we know how to make a mold. And once you have the basics down, you can pretty much take that and apply it to whatever mold it is that you guys want to make. If you're interested in learning more about epoxy resin and how to do the things that I do, check out my e-courses. They're linked up down below. I have a basics course for newbies and people that know absolutely nothing about resin. I've got an ocean course. I've got a geode course. I've got how to do flood coats, and I've got a couple coming up, flower encapsulation, encapsulating anything, and a woodworking one, okay? So check them out. They're linked up down below. Everything I used in this video, along with any promo code that I can provide you, is also linked up down below. All right, thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, comment. Did this video help you, or did I just waste 20 minutes of your time? All right, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Bye. And then whoever sits on it's gonna have a sweet ass too. All right, so I got this one first, but it's super thin. It was like $10. This one was 40 doll hairs. Do you hear me? That's a lot of money for a toilet seat, I think. I don't know. I don't go around buying toilet seats, so.